Wife told me to choose between her and my sick mother, the woman who raised me alone after my dad died and sacrificed all her life for me. I think this is the end of our marriage. My mother, 55, and dad were both orphans. My dad died 2 weeks before I was born. My mom didn't really have a support system, so we were just the two of us. I never lacked anything because my mother worked all her life to give me the life I have today and didn't even have time for herself to start a new life again. I am 34 and I met my wife, 31, while both of us were volunteered. My wife is a good person, but she was never close to her parents or her siblings. Yet she adored my mother since she met her. There were times when I thought she loved my mother more than she loved me, and we laughed about it. Deep down, I think she was looking for the bond between mother and daughter that she did not have from her mother. When I finished my studies, I found a job. We moved in together, but she wasn't comfortable that I call my mom every day. Remind you, those were 10 to 15 minutes calls, but eventually she stops bringing on. 2 years later, I bought a house for my mother. Because we never had a house in our name, we lived from apartment to apartment. So for all the sacrifices she made, it was for me the least of it, and it was non-negotiable. That's where the problem started with my wife, then girlfriend. She wanted me to think about us first. I told her my dream had always been to buy my mom a house since I was little, and that's what I had to do. But she complained about it to my mom. My mom didn't even know I bought a house for her, as it was supposed to be a surprise for her birthday. She was uncomfortable of receiving the house because of my wife, then girlfriend, and told me that wasn't necessary, that we could use it for us when we get married. I was furious. I told my mother that the house was for her, that she could do with it whatever she wanted, but it was time for her to think about herself first. Our relationship survived that. We got married and then we had our own house. Our life was going well until 2 months ago when my mother fell ill. I wanted her to come and live with us so that I could take care of her, but my wife didn't want to, and I decided to rent an apartment with my own money right next to our house so that I could be close to her and go there to take care of her. But even that idea didn't sit well with my wife. Me and my wife don't have children yet. We both work. I usually come home at 6 p.m., but since my mother is sick, I go to see her and come home at 8 p.m. On weekends, I see her for 1 or 2 hours, and the rest of the time, I spend it with my wife. We go on dates. I always accompany her in her hobbies, even though she never went to mine. 2 days ago, she told me that she thought about it, and she thinks I prioritize my mother too much. She told me that I had to choose between my mother and the life I want to build with her. The truth is that I never made her feel that way. We both work, but I'm the one who cooks, and I pay a person to do the housework. I make sure I do the dishes she likes. She didn't even know what I like to eat because I never complain. I run her baths, give her massages, flowers. I write her poems that I hide somewhere in the house for her to find out. We go on a trip 1 weekend a month. I earn much more money than her. I told her to keep her money for herself, and I take care of all the bills, even hers. I always make sure to listen to her and consider her opinion, and I think I'm easygoing because I can change my mind to accommodate hers. But I realize that she tries to completely dominate me, and the only subject where I don't give her a choice is my relationship with my mother. So I'm going to have a talk with her and put some very clear boundaries if she doesn't want to while we're going to divorce. Just want it out of my chest. Best comments. If you're not neglecting your relationship with your wife and still pulling your weight in the house, I don't see the problem here. You can't just simply abandon your own mother while she's sick. What exactly does she want from you? Well, I asked the same question, but she can't answer. She said she feel that way. I think she does a lot of projecting of her own relationship with her mother. Her mother is very toxic and abusive. I always try to be there for her, listening to her, being her support system, but anytime I'm listening her, she ends up telling me I can't even understand her because I have the perfect mother. Your wife is having a lot of complicated feelings. Additionally, her sense of reality may be skewed, or her brain is flat out lying to her. These aren't your responsibility, but if she wants to work through them, she should see a therapist. This might save your marriage, it might not. I'm willing to seek therapy with her if she wants. I never bring that to her. Thank you for the idea. She sounds jealous with the relationship you have with your mother. This has to stop. She needs therapy or help, or she will be losing you. I agree with that, and I am willing to go to therapy with her if she wants. Just asking and not saying she could be, but is she a jealous person? Only thing that makes me think that is that you are her support system, seeing as she doesn't have a close relationship with family, and she might feel threatened by your commitment to your mother. She is a jealous person, but she improves herself a lot. Back then, she wanted me to be her everything, and that wasn't healthy. So I push her to get her own hobbies, and right now, she has her own friends and goes sometimes with them in trip or girls' night. She is comfortable now with my friends. Update number 1, 20 days after the first post. Hi guys, I keep getting messages asking me for an update. I want to do it sooner, but couldn't spare time to do it properly. Before confronting my wife, I had time to reflect, and I came to the conclusion that I will never again let anyone in my life dictate the relationship I should have with my mother or the time I should dedicate to her. So, I decided to answer the ultimatum, but first I wanted to know if there was another reason why she gave me this ultimatum, and she replied that there is no other reason. I asked her, apart from what she blamed me for, was there something she wanted to tell me but couldn't tell me? She said there was nothing and asked me to come to the point, so I told her I wanted a divorce. She remained frozen. I think she was shocked because she wasn't talking, she was just staring at me. I tell her everything that was on my mind, that our values are too different. I was going through the worst moment of my life. My mother was sick. We did several tests with her. We still don't know what she's suffering from. We don't know her family medical history because she was an orphan. It makes me anxious to know that overnight I could find myself alone in the world. Yes, alone in the world, because in these difficult times, all I needed was her support. But if my own wife thinks that I should give less attention to my mother who is sick and who needs me more than ever, it's time to go to our separate way. She still didn't say anything, so I told her I'm going to a hotel for now, and we'll discuss later how we're going to separate. I took some of my things and left. The next day, when I went to see my mother, she figures out something wasn't right, but I was not going to tell her I was separating from my wife because she could not bear our relationship, especially since she was sick like that. I didn't want to add more torment to her. I never discussed my marriage issue with my mother anyway, so she does not know our problems, and honestly, she adores my wife too much, and my wife behaves as if she was her own mother, so I was not going to tell her what she was thinking behind her back. My mom ends up telling me that my wife didn't come by that day. Yes, my wife, who asked me to reduce my contact with my mother, was seeing her every day, and I never asked her to do anything for my mother. She calls my mother mom. When she gets sick, she used to go to my mother so she will take care of her. It used to hurt me because it's as if I couldn't take care of her, but she said that this was not the same. The intentions of a mother are different. I told myself that it was her way of creating a mother-daughter bond that she never had, and I understood her. She ever said her mother used to tell her that she was not supposed to be born, that she was an accident, and that she almost ended the pregnancy, and she regrets not doing it. Only a monster could say that to her child. So, I never said anything whenever she wanted my mother's attention. Besides, I received enough love to share with whoever wanted. My mother, after I left home to study, became a foster mom for children. She always did until 2 years ago. I have always loved each of the children with whom I still keep in touch and whom I consider to be my siblings. Once a year, we all went on vacation together for a week, the children, my mother, and my wife. I generally take 2 months of vacation, of which the 6 weeks I devoted it to my wife, but the 2 weeks that I devote to my mother and the children, it was too much for my wife. Anyway, I'm rambling, so when my mom told me she didn't come to see her that day, I went back home because I was worried. I found her in the bathroom with her clothes and red eyes like she was crying all along. Seeing her like that was unbearable. I helped her out, but this woman who had so much pride collapsed in front of. I don't know if it was an hour or 2, but she just kept crying. She calmed down a little, and then she started crying again. I just stayed silent. She ended up telling me that deep down, she never wanted me to involve any less in my mother's life. She was always jealous of our relationship. She was always jealous of the attention my mother gave to the other children. She knows that it wasn't rational, but she couldn't help constantly striving to be number one in my mother's heart. It was kind of a competition for her, so when I wanted to take care of my mom, she didn't want me to be the one taking care of her. I was honestly furious without saying anything, of course, but I wondered if she was a psychopath or something. We are talking about a person who is seriously ill, and she is thinking about her damn competition, even if it means sabotaging the relationship I have with my mother and putting us in a situation where I wanted to divorce her. She told me that she was very jealous of me and that she would have liked to be in my place. If she had to choose, She would have even chosen to be my mother's child rather than my wife, even if I was the love of her life and the only man she ever known. She also told me that even if the world falls apart around me, I will remain stoic, that I live as if I don't need anyone, and that I give everything to others, but I don't know how to let others reach me, and she never managed to get there. Only my mother could get there. At that moment, I did not know what else to say. I was hooked on this idea of competition so that I did not immediately grasp the scope of these words. But I still listened to her to the end. I put her to bed until she fell asleep. Then I went to sleep in another room. In the morning, she was acting like anything had happened. She was being herself. She said I don't have to pity her. I told her it was out of love. She was still my wife. She left to work, and I do the same, but decided to stay at the hotel for the time being. During that time, I wondered what I could have done, acted, or said to make her feel like that. Deep down, I think she's right. It's a defense mechanism I've had since childhood. I've never stayed in one place longer to make friends. It was heartbreaking to every time we have to move between my 5 to my 15 years. I have moved more than 50 times from apartment to apartment, from hotel room to hotel room. And since then, I think I've always lived my relationships like a squat. I never unpacked and settled in because I knew at any moment I could be kicked out. But I thought with my Wi-Fi I acted differently, but I guess not. So I thought maybe we didn't need to go that far. What we needed wasn't divorce, but therapy. Then this happened. A little over a week after our discussion, I was called from the hospital. My wife had been hospitalized. She apparently did not feel well. I went to visit her, but she didn't want to see me. If you see the eyes I saw, I've never seen so much hate in just 2 eyes. I told her besties so she can have her system support because she didn't want me there. I told my mom. She asked me what I had done to my wife so that she ended up in the hospital and that I should not stress a woman who was pregnant. I said, "What?" She told me my wife told her and asked her to keep it secret because she wanted to tell me herself when she was ready. I don't know what was going through my head, between anger that it was my mother who told me or happiness at having to be a dad for the first time and total confusion at the surreal situation. I went to my wife and told her I knew, but she looked at me again angrily and told me she had lost the baby and it was my fault. It all happened in an instant. I just found out that my wife was pregnant, but she kept it from me. I found out that I was going to be a dad, and then I found out that we lost the baby. On top of that, she accused me of causing it, even though I didn't know what I was supposed to have done. She asked me to leave, and I left. I always wanted children very early on. My wife wanted to put her career first. I understood and accepted. I've been trying to convince her for years, but without success. Now she gets pregnant. She doesn't tell me anything. She talks to my mother about it, and she says I caused her miscarriage. Since then, she says she didn't tell me anything because she wanted to first confirm if I could deal with all the responsibilities I give myself and raise a child at the same time. I don't understand her, and I admit since then I have a fierce hatred against her. I don't know how to look at her without having anger on me, and I don't want to hurt her with my words. I take care of her at home, but we don't talk to each other. I'm not going to stay with her. It's not possible. I started a session with a psychologist. He told me that patience was my best weapon, that I shouldn't make a permanent decision on emotions that could be temporary, and that I should take time to see if there were things to salvage. Here's where I am. I don't know if I'll do another update. I took days off to be there for my wife and for my mother, but I'm feeling pretty depressed, and I just want to get away from all this bullshit right now. Thank you in any case for giving me your point on my first post, for your support or your critics. Best comments. My mother, my wife. And what about you? Who are you? What do you want? Time to love and discover yourself. Using the loss of the baby as leverage against you is probably one of the most manipulative things a person can do. Talk to a lawyer. Make sure everything is handled, because this isn't the only trick your wife will pull. What the F is wrong with you? Using the loss of the baby as leverage. You are a sad effing person if you think this was a manipulation. I see this as a situation of the wife found out she was pregnant and wanted to know 100% that the father would be there for their child. He reacted poorly because she wasn't honest about her situation. This was a communication problem more than anything. She is weaponizing her loss of the baby, blaming on him when she didn't tell him. She also only told the mother, which is a red flag. Your wife is extremely manipulative. Ultimatums and tests to work you up have no place in a healthy marriage. She's broken in a way you can't fix. Divorce her. Update number 2. 3 months and 13 days after the last update. It's been a while. I didn't intend to post again after my last one, but even though it's been months, I still get supports and people asking me where I am in my life. So I think I owe you at least one last update because your comments and DMs helped me a lot during time I needed it the most. About my wife. After she had a miscarriage, yes, she was definitely pregnant. I had to take care of her because she couldn't do it on her own. After what happened, I had nothing but anger and hatred in me. But as I said last time, if something is fragile enough to break, you have no choice but to treat it gently. I didn't want her to break. I didn't want to leave her in the worst time of her life. So I did my duty as a husband. Despite everything, her mental state was getting worse. She thought she was still pregnant, and she was talking to herself. One night, she was delirious, mistaking me for her father and thinking that I was going to hurt her. I had to call the emergency room. Then, after examination, a psychiatrist advised me to have her hospitalized. That's what I did. She spent 6 weeks there. She was diagnosed as having borderline personality disorder. Doctors suspect delusional disorder too. And they also suspect that she was heavily abused as a child, but that's all they were allowed to tell me. She didn't want to see anyone, especially her family. She suggested that we communicate through letters, and every time I went there, I took her letter, then the next day, I dropped mine. It's crazy. I have the impression that in 2 months, I got to know her better than the 10 years I spent by her side. That reminded me how a good person she uses to be despite her flaws. She used to travel to participate in the construction of schools, wells, anything that can help people who lived in precariousness. She didn't just give money, she helped out with her own hands. We would travel without taking money and challenge each other to know how far we will get. That was the best moment of our lives. We were very close and in love. We thought nothing could break us. What has changed since then? We try to figure it out in the letters we give each other. We talk about many things. I won't go into details. She owns up her mistakes, and I own up mine. She takes full responsibility of the consequences of her actions. She apologizes for how she treated me, and know that the only possible outcome is that we divorce. She needs to heal and work on herself. She said she had a long way to go, and it wasn't fair for me. She said that given her condition, I wasn't going to talk to her about a divorce. She had to do it herself. There are some battles she needs to fight on her own. Otherwise, she will never be the best version she could be. She doesn't know how long it's going to take, but if she gets there and I haven't moved on, then she'll be happy to start again with me. I've always lived with the idea of fixing broken things rather than throwing them away. But that doesn't work with humans. You can't fix someone unless they want to be fixed. And I wouldn't have had the strength to fix someone because I'm putting all my remaining energy into trying to fix myself. If my wife hadn't made the decision she made, I myself would have proposed a divorce. Paradoxically, it was because she made the decision she made that I saw that there was hope for us. I then offered her a separation rather than a divorce. And a year from now, if we still want to get divorced, we'll get divorced. If we trust that we could be in a healthy relationship, then we'll get to know each other again, communicate, and try to do things differently. She agreed and said that was what she hoped. When she got out of the hospital, she didn't want us to meet because if we saw each other, she wouldn't have had the strength to keep her resolutions. For my part, I still had not fully overcome the negative feelings following the events that occurred before her hospitalization. So in the end, it was best for both of us. We chose to continue to send each other letters, and that's fine with me for now. She was able to see my mother. She wrote me what my mother told her, that she will always be a mother figure to her, despite the bad decision she made, that she didn't have to compete for her love because she already had it. And that's one thing that will never change. She asked me if I was okay with her being in touch with my mother. I told her it was up to them. She didn't need my consent. However, she was not likely going to see my mother too often because I had decided to go in another country for my mother, so she could benefit from one of the best hospitals in the world, which is in Europe. About me. I've been in Germany for almost 1 month now. We are from France, and I'm learning to delegate work. It's a resolution I made during my therapy. I needed therapy, and it was especially you guys who convinced me. I will always be grateful to you. One of my foster brothers wanted to come with us to Germany since he manages to work remotely too. He is a great help. In short, I'm getting better and better. As for my mother, her condition is improving. The future looks brighter than it did a few months ago. Well, I think that's all. This will be my last post. To all who have followed me in those hard times, I thank you from the bottom of my heart and wish you the best in your life. May what you have left to live be better than what you have already lived.